Hey guys, I'm going to be touching a little bit on the Delphi case today as well. This case as well is cloaked in secrecy. So here we go.
17 murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, as well as the deaths of four sisters who were killed in an intentionally set house fire just 3 months before and 9 miles away in the town of Flora, Indiana. Many folks across the state, country, and even the world have taken a particular interest in Carroll County, Indiana, to ask the question, why did this happen? And are your children truly safe in Carroll County? And then came the seemingly orchestrated arrest of Richard Allen, who many of us believe is an innocent man. The proceedings in his case have been cloaked in secrecy, and have many scratching their heads asking if there's something deeper going on here. While the powers that be in Carroll County are more than happy to see this man go down for this crime, without much regard at all for his rights to due process, and making sure they have the right person behind bars. I myself am a firm believer that history repeats itself, and by looking to the past and studying history, we can perhaps shed some light and connect some dots on the beliefs, behaviors, and social pathology of this small, rural American community. So sit back and relax, because I have a shocking, yet all too familiar story to tell you. And it starts with the disappearance of a young woman, followed by the discovery of a badly decomposed body believed to be of a woman, washed up on the banks of the Wabash River in February 1887. What followed was the persecution of a perceived outsider, an angry mob, and vigilante justice in Delphi, Indiana. The father, William Mabbitt, was both wealthy and respectable. The children were all attractive, intelligent, and popular. But the belle of the family was 23-year-old Luella, who, naturally, had many suitors. Her favored beau was a man 10 years her senior named Amr Green. At 34 years old, Green was tall, good-looking, with manly features. But Luella's father did not approve of his daughter's suitor. So, reluctantly, Luella told Amr that they had to break up. She would return his love letters and he was to return hers. On August 6, 1886, Amr Green with his friend William Walker took a buggy ride to the Mabbitt home in Wildcat, Indiana, which is just outside of Delphi. Her parents saw Luella leave the house with the letters, but she never came back. William Mabbitt believed that his daughter had been kidnapped by Amr Green. Green and Walker were both questioned by authorities, but both denied any knowledge of Luella's whereabouts. In the days that followed, search parties were organized in the area around Wildcat Creek. William Mabbitt hired a private detective and offered a reward of $500 for the apprehension of his daughter's kidnappers. It was as if Luella had simply evaporated into thin air. But when Amr Green quietly slipped out of town, that only hardened local certainty that he knew exactly what had become of Luella. On August 12th, a mob of the lynching variety was soon assembled around the Green home. They dragged Amr's mother out, placed a noose around her neck, and demanded that she tell them where her son had gone. She either couldn't or wouldn't say. Eventually, the frustrated crowd let her go and left. As the prime suspect in the disappearance was unable to be found, police did the next best thing. They arrested Mrs. Green. William Walker was tossed into jail as well, apparently only because he had the bad luck to be on the scene the night Luella vanished. Meanwhile, a portion of Luella's dress was found in the creek near her father's farm. Its torn condition indicated a struggle. While this tended to reinforce the theory that Luella had been murdered, there was also a growing belief that she and Amr had eloped and would turn up safe and sound in due time. It was rumored that Amr had secretly appeared at his mother's house and told her that all was well, and Luella was being well cared for. With a lack of anyone else to prosecute, Amr's friend William Walker was tried for his alleged role in the abduction of Luella Mabbitt. On the stand, Walker gave a detailed account of his time on the night of Luella's disappearance, and it was corroborated by Luella Mabbitt's sister, Cynthia. In addition, it could not be proven that Luella was actually abducted. Walker was found not guilty.
Some people call it hope. I call it magic.
In February 1887, a body was found on the banks of the Wabash River. It was so badly decomposed as to be unrecognizable. But Luella's sister, Ella Mabbitt, and her mother believed that those were Luella's remains, largely, apparently, on the grounds that the corpse's teeth resembled Ella's. Luella's father, William, however, was unconvinced. A physician who examined the body believed the teeth were of someone much older than Luella, estimating that the corpse was of someone at least 45 years old. An article in the local paper dated February 7th notes that the flesh is entirely gone from the face and there remains nothing but the bare skull. The eyes are gone, and the body has the appearance of having been sprinkled with some substance to hasten and ensure decomposition. The flesh crumbled to dust or powder when touched. Despite the lack of proof that these were the remains of Luella, the townspeople were convinced. A few days later, a newspaper would note that she was last seen in the company of her lover, Green, a worthless fellow whom she refused to marry. Green has disappeared. There is little doubt that he murdered Miss Mabbitt. Now, Amr and his brother Bill did skip town. But on July 15, 1887, both of the Green brothers were arrested in Fort Worth, Texas, by Sheriff J.G. Stanley and brought back to Cass County, Indiana. While Amr Green was awaiting trial in Logansport, he was visited by Mr. Mabbitt. Green assured Mabbitt that his daughter was alive and well. He offered no proof, however, saying that all would be made plain at the proper time. But now that Green was captured, the people of Cass County were growing impatient with the legal process. With no positively identified body and no hard evidence against Green, it was viewed unlikely that he would be found guilty of murder. In October of 1887, 3 months after his capture, Amr was taken to Delphi for trial on the theory that the crime was committed in Carroll County. From his cell in Carroll County, Amr continued to insist that Luella was alive and well, living in Texas with a man named Samuel Payne. He refused to say any more than this, again insisting that all would eventually be made clear. If Green truly did have evidence that Luella was still among the living, he was soon to regret keeping it to himself, as the men of Delphi began to say that if the law of 1887, some 200 men quietly marched through the streets of Delphi surrounding the county jail. They broke their way in and confronted the sheriff, demanding the keys to the prison. When he refused, some of the mob overpowered him, and the others used sledgehammers to break the locks leading to the cells. They went straight to the cell containing Amr Green. At gunpoint, he was seized and tied up. He was led outside and forced into a covered wagon. It drove off with the bulk of the crowd following. The wagon drove to the woods of Walnut Grove, about 8 miles away. It was soon joined by a large caravan of carriages, wagons, and men on horseback. Green was taken out of the wagon in order to confess his guilt. Green maintained the calm demeanor of a man who knows he's doomed. He quietly maintained that Luella was in Fort Worth. When asked why, if this was the case, she didn't come home and resolve the mystery, he replied, "She would if I had the time to send for her." He claimed that Luella had been desperate to leave her home for some time, and on the night she vanished, he had merely assisted in her desire to run away. Among the crowd was William Mabbitt. He stepped forward and begged Green to tell the truth. What had he done with Luella? "I loved her better than my own life," Green retorted. "That is the reason I went away with her. I loved her better than you did, and all the time she has been away, I have cared for her." His words were not enough to convince a mob bent on murder. A rope was tied around a branch of a walnut tree, and the other end wrapped around Green's neck, and he stood in the wagon seat. The wagon lurched forward, leaving the condemned man dangling in the air. When it was clear that Green was dead, the crowd soon dispersed, leaving the body hanging in the tree. Before the coroner took charge of it the next day, thousands of people came to gawk at the grotesque sight. Some took a photograph of the hanging corpse, which was, I kid you not, turned into a postcard. The men responsible for Green's lynching were never punished. To this day, Green's ghost is said to haunt the grove where he died, the exact location of which is unknown and is said to be one of Delphi's best kept secrets. In a cruel and mysterious turn of events, on the night following the lynching of Amr Green, a young woman, heavily veiled, stepped off an eastbound train in Delphi, Indiana. She went to the baggage room and asked if her trunk had arrived from Fort Worth. The Mabbitts denied that their daughter had returned. The mystery woman was never seen again, but rumors persisted. Detectives went to Fort Worth in an effort to track down this elusive Samuel Payne. Somewhat to their surprise, they found a Mrs. Orr, who claimed to live next door to Payne, and a woman who said she was his wife. Mrs. Payne was a pretty woman in her early 20s who told Mrs. Orr that she was originally from Indiana. Unfortunately, the couple had since left town for parts unknown. If this was, as Amr Green insisted with literally his dying breath, Luella Mabbitt, she was never heard from again.
Movavi Video Editor es una sencilla pero potente aplicación a un precio irrisorio.
Exactly became of Luella Mabbitt was never resolved. For many years after the fateful night in August 1886, there were periodic sightings of the supposedly murdered woman. In February 1916, her sister Ella told a reporter, quote, "For all I know, my sister may not have been murdered and may be living today," end quote. The impact that these murders and disappearances had on this family is perhaps best captured by the tone of William Mabbitt's obituary. William Mabbitt, father of Luella Mabbitt and several other erratic children, whose names are not unknown to notoriety, died in his home in Carroll County March 11th, aged 70 years. He was the father of 11 children, 8 of whom are still living. Life was a troubled sea for him. The disgrace and shame brought on his gray hairs by his own offspring, making his closing years full of agony and suffering and death a welcome.
So there's a lot going on in the town of Delphi, apparently.
The past reveals a history.
So do you guys believe? So do you guys believe that Richard Allen is innocent? I do. I believe he's innocent. This case, guys, the reason why I showed that video, the Delphi case mirrors the Idaho 4 case. It absolutely mirrors it. So what's going on in these small ass towns? I've heard a lot of talk and rumblings about the cult of Odin, possibly in Idaho and possibly in Delphi, Indiana. Could that be a possibility? Could the cult of Odin be behind the murder in Delphi? Could they be behind the murders in Idaho? No one really knows, guys. No one really knows exactly what is going on in Moscow, Idaho, or Delphi, Indiana. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
If you're a business owner, then animated explainer videos are the best way to capture attention. Get more.
Someone knows who this individual is. Someone knows who this individual is. Is it a family member? Is it a neighbor? Is it an acquaintance? Is it an associate? Or maybe that one guy that lives over at that one place that just kind of not right.
I can't remember a time in my career where we have a photograph, sound, movement, and we're one step away because somebody knows who he is. Every family member would know a family member if they looked at their body without their head. They would recognize the walk, the pants, the jacket, the hood, whatever that might be. Somebody's living in fear, and I wish they'd come to me or come to us.
And Ron,
Somebody knows whose body that is, Scott. Somebody knows. If you take the head off of a person that you know, you'll recognize the body, whether it be your dad, your brother, your uncle, your friend, your neighbor, your coworker. That's the piece we're waiting on. Maybe it's his jeans. Maybe it's his jacket or his sweatshirt. Maybe it's his shirt tail. Maybe it's his posture. Maybe it's the right hand in his pocket. You see, even with technology, we need human intelligence. In other words, we need you. Because of the deteriorated condition of the bridge, the suspect is not walking naturally due to the spacing between the ties.
Hello, this is Shane.
Hi Shane, can you please help me find, I was just speaking.
We are releasing additional portions of the audio recording from that day. Please keep in mind, the person talking is one person and is the person on the bridge with the girls. This is not two different people speaking. Please listen to it very, very carefully.
Delphi Mayor Shane Evans to talk about the community of Delphi. Thanks for being here, sir.
Sure, thanks for having me.
So, quickly, biggest accomplishment from 2016?
Probably the biggest thing, and the biggest thing you can notice downtown is the wrap-up of the Stellar project, so the streetscapes are done.
Does he sound like the person saying "guys down the hill, guys down the hill"? Does he sound like the person?
We've got new sidewalks, curbs, and the asphalt's down.
Mayor Evans wants to continue momentum on updating and maintaining Delphi's infrastructure. One of the highlights from his first term was getting about $2 million in grant funds for road repairs. He says serving as mayor is all about giving back to those who gave to him.
It's an honor to serve the city of Delphi, the place I grew up.
the people in this community. That means so much to me. We're excited with the turnout. We're happy to get, I think, 701 voters here in the city of Delphi, and we're thrilled for what we're going to do the next 4 years.
And I'm driven by their memory. I'm driven by their family and that community. Remember, it was on the heels of the Flora fire, which occurred in November of the year before, 2016.
Devastating for that community.
Devastating. That killed those 4 little girls. So those 2 cases in rural Indiana represent evil in America, because the city of Delphi is any small town USA.
Absolutely.
And what I saw that community do, and how they came together to support the family and relatives and friends, and finally us, I'll carry it with me for the rest of my life.
You know, and all 3 of us, we sit here together combined with more than 70 years of police experience, and we've all can close our eyes and see the faces of those victims of those crashes and those cases we've worked. But this one had a unique feel because of the community outreach, and because we had a video, we had audio of our killer, and I can tell you, sitting in that command center a week afterwards, it just seemed like we were on the right track, and here we are almost 3 years later, still working our tails off on it.
The sketch, and to be clear, and you did clarify this after, but in case folks didn't hear it, you don't want them to look at both sketches anymore. You only want the newly released sketch, correct?
That's correct. But remember, a sketch is not a photograph.
Right.
It's something similar to a resemblance. And the likelihood of this being something between the 2 is probably pretty strong. But again, that's a subjective opinion based upon what I believe. But the difference now.
So why not look at both sketches? What are they trying to hide in Delphi? Is the mayor culpable? What are they trying to hide in Delphi?
Between now and day 1 is we know about you. A lot about you. Today could be the day. Sleep well.
Somehow are linked. I don't know how, but they are linked somehow.
Daddy, I want to put on that log. I want to put on it. I want to put on it. I want to put on it.
Well, I'm gonna keep getting to the bottom of these cases. Something's telling me that Delphi and Idaho are linked. And I believe it's by the same mastermind or the same group. Like always, guys, please like and share my channel and hit that subscribe button. And if you're feeling frisky, hit that join button to become a member. No rest for the weary, guys. You guys have a good Friday. Peace.